Welcome back. This is Ed Pluchar with not so mini of a lesson. This is going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of math. Hang in there though, because I want to show you the benefit to a mortgage payment over a rental payment. Okay, welcome back. This is a real life example. This is from my life. And I'll go through a couple of the differences, like we didn't get a rate this good, which is about the right rate right now. But when we were renting and we were planning to buy, and this is 8 years ago, planning to buy, so it was not a question of if, but when. But I just wanted to do the math and kind of see, like, if we took on a mortgage payment, what would that payment look like relative to the cost of rent? So most people look at it and say, okay, you could buy a home and own it for the same cost of rent. Here though, we were renting for about $1,300 a month. I think it went up to $1,325. And the mortgage payment ended up being right around $1,900. It was a little less the first year, a little more the next year. But the point being, this is based off of today's interest rate, taxes, things like that. So at first blush, there's no way it's a comparison. Much cheaper to rent. And you got the mobility, the flexibility, and whatever else goes with renting. Here you've got the obligation, you're kind of pinned down, you could sell it anytime you want, but you may not get everything you want out of it. So it doesn't look like a good bargain. But then I broke it down. So the first thing is, with a rental payment, you're not getting any deductions and you're not gaining any equity. All of this money is gone. I wanted to figure out in a mortgage, because I knew taxes were going to be deductible, interest was going to be deductible, and I was going to be building up principal over time. So I wanted to know, what did this number really look like once I figured this all out? So what are my assumptions? Assumptions are a $250,000 house with the smallest down payment you could do. Unless you're a veteran or something like that, 3% is about it, 3% conventional. So this is gonna make that payment about as much as it could be for a house of this price. We're trying to weight everything this way because I want to show you still the benefit to doing this over this. So that's the payment at 3.75% interest. From this payment, your initial principal amount is going to be $376. These numbers aren't going to totally make sense, but I'll make sense in a minute. $376 is going into your equity. That's paying down the loan. And if the home remains worth $250, and historically values go up, but if it remains just $250, you're gaining at a minimum $376 a month. That's the base amount. That's the very first monthly payment. Over the course of that first year, this number keeps going up and up and up, and over the life of the loan, it's going to approach this $1,900 per month principal payback. So that number only goes up. That's the lowest number it's going to be. Next, we take the difference there. So you're keeping this money. For all intents and purposes, that stays in your net worth. So you come down here, you're really giving up $1,500. That number looks a lot closer to that number, but we're not done yet. Now, in our area, I gave us about 3% in taxes, which is about right. It's actually maybe slightly more than that, but $521 for taxes. That's going to be deductible. We're going to figure that over here. Then we also took out the interest. This is, for that first year, the lowest interest amount. The interest is going to reduce over time, but I wanted to start you low to give you a low ball offer, a conservative guess, to see how this is going to compare. So once we remove the 768, and again, these two numbers are coming back over here, we're left with 274. The insurance, the PMI, and you're never going to see those again. Those are truly out the door. Very good. So now what we want to do is take and find out, if I itemize these on my taxes, which we were able to do, what's the value of that to my net worth or to my bank account. So took it over here, hope you can still see me, and the two numbers, 521 and 768, add up to 1289, I hope. And I used a 15% tax rate. That's kind of, that's a lower end bracket. So if you're doing better off, that number is going to actually go up. It might be 25%, it might be more than that. But we're using 15% just to keep it low and conservative. 15% of 1289 gets you 193 in equivalent tax credit. So if you itemize these things here and here on your taxes, you should see a net result in your favor of $193. So that money is not lost. That money ends up back in your pocket come April or May the following year. So remember our first payment here, we said after the principal, that's the money out the door. But now we're getting 193 of that back. 1553 minus 193 gets you 1360. 1360 compared to 1300 a month. Now, that's very close. Two more things to consider. This principal amount is going to go up over time. So you're actually going to gain off of this payment more and more as time goes on. Your taxes will probably go up a little bit too, but your interest will not. Your interest is going to go down. So even though that result over here is going to get less, the actual money out the door is going to start to increase in your favor. So I'm kind of like washing these two out, and we're going to assume this is going to increase because it will. So this 1360 is going to start to go down, down, down the more this increases. Within, I think, less than a year, I'd have to double check the schedule, but I believe it's less than a year, that number is going to be below 1300 because your principal amount will increase that much. If I'm wrong, call it 2 years. So you're already going to be beating this. Not only that, remember from the beginning, you've had no deductions off of this number. So that's just it, it's gone. You don't get any credits off of it. You have no equity, you have nothing to show for it. Over here, you've got 3% down, you're gaining $376 at a minimum every month, and the property is going to appreciate. When this property appreciates, one thing's going to happen. This number is going to go up. Like I mentioned, we were paying, I think we started at $1,250. We got to we were starting at $1,300. We got to $1,325. I think they were about to go to $1,350 when we actually moved out. Not because of that, because it was time. So that number is going to go up over time. That number today, that same townhome that we rented, would easily be $1,500 a month. So where we're at, we've gained hundreds, thousands of dollars versus having stayed put in that rental townhome. I know it's a lot of math, but if you're in a situation like this, you kind of want to break it down. You're going to have to refer to your accountant for certain things, but we can kind of lay an outline and give you something to think about. I'd be happy to do that. Give me a call, 815-931-2279. Thanks. Welcome back. This is Ed Pluchar with another real estate mini lesson. We're doing mortgage questions. So I brought in an expert mortgage lender, Eric Marcotte. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, Eric Marcotte, People's Bank Associate Vice President. Been doing mortgages for 16, 17 years, so hopefully we can get all your questions answered and get you on the right path.
Now, I have, is there any difference between debts like I have student loan debts or student loan debts or health bills? Is there any difference there, medical debts?
Most people, believe it or not, have medical debts. I always see a medical collection on a credit. It may hurt you a little bit when it first enters your credit.
Okay.
But I would not worry about paying it off. I would worry more if you have other debts, credit card debt, utility bills, student loans. But medical bills, let that be your last priority to work on paying those off. If it's all you got, that's negative. Go be my guest, pay those off. But focus on the installment loans and revolving debt like credit cards first.
Okay.